Hey guys, it's me, Miss Etheridge. Just want to give you a few tips and tricks today for square roots and cube roots. We saw a video from Khan Academy the other day in class, so I just want to remind you a few things. So square roots and cube roots is what we have talked about. So we've seen the square root of 16 several times. So by now you know that the square root of 16 is 4 because 4 times 4 equals 16. We're looking for that number times itself that gives you this number. Okay. We looked at the square root of 25 and we said that was 5. We've seen the square root of 64 and that was 8. Okay. We even saw some fractions and said that the square root of 4/9. Don't panic. What's the square root of 4? 2. What's the square root of 9? 3. So not a problem. We can still take a square root of a fraction. All right, in the video the other day they talked about this symbol is your radical. It's also called your principal square root, which means we just want the positive answer. That's why I only wrote down positive numbers. But if I'd had this symbol on the outside of the radical, that would mean that I'd want the positive and negative answer. So then I would just put that symbol on my answer, saying that, well, 8 times 8 is 64, and negative 8 times negative 8 is also 64. So there's two options to that. All right, we also talked about cube roots. And we said the cubed root of 8 was 2. I believe we put several examples in your textbook. We talked about what 2 cubed was, that was 8. We said that 3 cubed was 27. 4 cubed was 64. 5 cubed was 125. You have these in your textbook. Let's also say today that 6 cubed is 216. You will see that in your workbook lesson today. Okay. All right, and then remember, it just means that the 2 is multiplied times itself 3 times to get 8. So 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. And if you know these basic first 5 or 6 numbers, then you'll probably be fine. That's all you're going to really need, and we can do those without our calculator. And we also said that if I see x squared equals 25, and my book gives me an option like this, it'll be a fill in the blank. We said, okay, we're just looking for the number that times itself is 25, which is just another way of asking for the square root of 25, only now I want both numbers. So I'm looking for 5 and negative 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. If I had asked for the x squared equals 64, x would be 8 and negative 8. So when you do the work in your workbook, I'm going to need to see both of those answers written out. You may also see a fraction. If I had had x squared equals 4/9, we are still just looking for the square root of 4, which is 2, and the square root of 9, which is 3. But because it has been asked what squared is 4/9, we will put 2/3 and negative 2/3. The only time I would put just one answer is if it asked x squared equals 0, then 0 is my only answer. Okay. All right, guys, everything else is going to be notes in your journal. You will be given a copy of those to copy into. There's a little more detail to those problems, but this will be sufficient for you to get through your workbook today, and we'll talk more about this in class the next day. Thanks, guys.